Hey there, my friends. Welcome back to today's video. Today's video, I am going to dive really, really deep and offer you almost like a mini masterclass on how to use networking to grow your business. Now, what I'm going to talk about today will help any business in any genre, in any niche, in any locale. And I want you to really sit down and take stock of what I'm sharing today, because even if you change just this one thing in your business, it will exponentially help you along the lines of getting clients and growing your business. So let's dive right in. Okay, the 6 common networking mistakes. Number 1 is forgetting that it's a conversation and not a commercial. So you hear a lot of people talking about your 30-second speech and having your commercial and your pitch ready. And I want to tell you that when you go to a networking event, nobody wants to hear your pitch. No one wants to hear your commercial. What they want to do is have a conversation. So when you go networking, make sure that you are not talking at people, but instead you're talking with them. So true networking starts with connection and conversations, not a pitch. So ditch the pitch. Okay. The second mistake that a lot of people make, very similar, is that they lead with the offer instead of the human side of what you do. So I want to tell you something. So knowing what your offer is doesn't necessarily mean you're selling an index card, right? That's not what your offer is. Your offer is a combination of who you help, what you do, and how you do it. And the how within the industry actually is very varied, but the how might be how you run your business, how you meet with clients, how you bill and charge. So when you go to a networking event, and if you're leading with that information first, people are going to phase out and move on. What you want to do is remember that people remember people, not packages, not your pricing. So focus on who you are and why you love what you do. That in itself is a writer downer. So when you are out networking and you are marketing and you are talking about your business, no matter what it is that you do or sell, make sure that you focus on why you love what you do. It seems to be really easy. Like if anybody ever asked you, oh, where's the best restaurant to go to in town? You'd be like, oh my God, you have to go to like Billy Bob's, right? Billy Bob's has the best barbecue in all the lands. Like you have to go there. You can't come to this town and not go to Billy Bob's barbecue, right? That is selling something, right? That is advocating for something that you love. But for some reason, you go out and you sell your services and you go networking for your own business. And all of a sudden, it's like factual and statistical and very dry. You want to exude the reason that you love what you do because people will remember how you made them feel, not necessarily everything that you said behind that. Big lesson there, my friends. The third thing, it's a common mistake, is putting on a persona instead of just showing up authentically. So I've shared this story many times. When I first started my business, I Googled how to grow a business. And one of the things that always popped up was like go networking. I had no idea what networking was. So I Googled how to go networking. And all of the pictures and all of the things that I read were about men and women in like the men were wearing sometimes suits, at least the dress shirt and ties, or their polos with their logos on them, and a lot of the women very similar. And so I had come from nursing and healthcare, so I didn't own a lot of those clothes. So I went out and I spent like $1,000 on dress pants and slacks and belts and button-down shirts. And I will tell you what, I showed up at all of that networking looking very professional. But what happened was the clothing that I was wearing actually felt like it was holding in the best version of myself. It was as if I was wearing somebody else's suit and it just did not fit. And I held back my personality. I tried to be very professional. And after a few months of doing this, wearing my dress pants and my skirts and my button-down shirts, which I totally looked cute in, but it didn't feel like me. After months of doing this, I decided one day I am actually going to show up in a pair of great dressy jeans, a fabulous shirt, some fabulous heels, some funky earrings, and then let my personality shine outward. And the moment that I started doing that and I started showing up as my authentic self, that is when people started to connect with me. That was when people wanted to know more about my services. Because before you even say words out your mouth, people will sense your aura, your energy around you. And if you are trying to cover up what makes you unique and cover up the best parts of you, they cannot see and experience and feel the best parts of you. So if you are passionate, that means you are passionate at what you do. If you try to button that up, you're going to limit that passion. Okay. So ditch the polished mask and be real and be magnetic. The fourth reason that people mess up with their networking is they're being too vague about what they actually do. I did this in the beginning. I was very like, oh, I have a concierge business. I help people do stuff. And and it fell very flat. And I was not being specific enough. You want to have some specificity. Be specific and clear about who you help and what you do. It's like what you do and who it's for. Because if you are clear and you are specific on just those two things, the person that you're having a conversation with will remember those two things versus you being very vague. When you're very vague, people can't hold on to and remember all of that vagueness. You think being all things to all people is what will get you clients. But even if you offer a lot of services, you want to make it so clear that when you leave that room, people will actually remember what you offer and who it's for. The fifth mistake that people make, big mistake, is that you're expecting a sale. So most people are being misled in coaching and advice giving out there in the world. The reason that you're networking is not intentionally going there to get a client in the room. Although this may happen, yes, there will be circumstances and there will be instances where you show up in a room, you are networking, and somebody in the room will become a client. But what often happens and where most people get tripped up and say their networking isn't working is because of that core mistake, expecting the sale happening in the room versus getting a client from the people in the room. So when you're showing up, remember that it's not just the person at the room that could be a client. It's the people that that person knows that may become the client. Don't forget that. It's so super important. The sixth thing that people get wrong when they're networking is ghosting on the follow-up. One and done networking doesn't cut it. You have to follow up. It shows that you care and it helps you build relationships that deepen over time. This does not mean that you meet somebody at a networking event and then you follow up with them in email trying to sell their services. Follow up is done in a more nurturing, human, connecting kind of way versus the follow up with, hey, yeah, we met at the thing. Here are my business cards. Hire me. That's not what it is. But ghosting in the follow up isn't about that. It's about ghosting in the long-term building of the relationship. So make sure that you are building relationships post the networking. And a bonus that I want to shout out to everybody, big mistake, is waiting until you're ready instead of just showing up. You do not need to have a website yet. You don't need to have everything figured out. Just get in the room and start talking to people because networking isn't just in a professional setting. Networking happens in more laid back personal settings as well, because the more you talk about what you do, the easier it becomes. All right, my friends, If you need help growing your business, I encourage you, if you don't already have a copy of The Concierge Life, my book, I encourage you, I'm going to put a link below, grab a copy of the book because I go into networking, pricing, and marketing in more detail. Plus, I share the 8 pillars of a fully booked business. So this is a great resource guide to get more clients this year. All right, friends, if this video was helpful, please hit up the like button and subscribe so that you don't miss any of these upcoming episodes. Bye for now.